Jacksonville Jaguars losing to a team that just fired their head coach, their great head coach, which we can get into. You have Trevor Lawrence, who was being touted as Andrew Luck 2.0, Peyton Manning 2.0, and I'm not saying that he can never be that. You bring in, you get back a guy in Calvin Ridley. Etienne had a fantastic season, and obviously he was great with Trevor Lawrence at Clemson. You bring in Doug Peterson, who and probably won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. They lose a game. They lose a bunch of games at the end of the season, but they lose a must-win game versus a bad Tennessee Titans team where Mike Vrabel coached them up. They won that game. If I'm a Jags fan and I'm a Trevor Lawrence believer and I'm a believer in Doug Peterson, I'm feeling pretty bad right now. A team that was supposed to dominate the AFC South, a team that I in the preseason picked to play in the AFC title game versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the Jacksonville Jaguars, to me was my biggest Week 18 takeaway of how disappointing this season ended up being for them with a collection of very good players.
And of course, the debate is going to be, who is the best quarterback in the AFC South? Is it Trevor Lawrence? Or is it CJ Stroud? Or is it going to be Anthony Richardson?
It shouldn't even have been a couple of years ago when he was being touted and being drafted out of Clemson. This was not even supposed to be a conversation because he was supposed to be in line to be not only the best quarterback in his division, not only the best quarterback in his conference, but potentially the best quarterback in the league, and if not one of the best we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying he can't get to that. But like in the fantasy world, like, are we happy about Trevor Lawrence? You're playing in a 10 or 12 team league. You're really excited about Trevor Lawrence. I'm not. Now I just kind of lost all confidence in them going forward, and I think it does trickle down and will affect their fantasy aspects next season.
It definitely will, and maybe they'll be valuable. I mean, Calvin Ridley actually overall wasn't that disappointing as a receiver as far as my expectations for him, but some people were drafting him in the second round, so they were incredibly disappointed. And I think Travis Etienne exceeded expectations by putting together a lot of touchdowns. But Trevor Lawrence, who was ranked as a top 10 quarterback by most, including myself, coming into the season, he didn't even sniff it. But it is really disappointing because it was like, they didn't have a rookie head coach. They had Doug Peterson. They made it to the playoffs last season. So they actually took a step back.
Right.
After adding, if you will, Calvin Ridley, you're right. They did lose Christian Kirk, which is pretty interesting. Like, it seems that Christian Kirk and Zay Jones were more valuable to that team than we all realized they were. That's one positive, and you may be able to get both of those players at a discount next season.